G'day guys, Disney Dave coming at you once again from Down Under, and welcome to another installment of Behind the Classics. Today we are taking a look at the 30th film from the Walt Disney Animation Classics canon. It was a story idea that dates back to the studio in the 1930s, however one that never came to fruition until the 1990s. It is one of the most beloved Disney animated films of all time, and the one that represents the absolute peak of Disney's magical Renaissance period. Released in 1991, it is of course Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast was, as mentioned previously, one of the stories that Walt Disney wanted to produce after the enormous success of Snow White. Even though evidence of pre-production exists within documented story meetings dating from the 1930s and 1940s, Walt's Beauty and the Beast remained nothing more than an idea after it proved to be a challenge for the story team. However, in late 1980s, the idea of Beauty and the Beast was resurrected, with screenwriter Linda Woolverton being hired to pen a screenplay for the film. This was much to then Disney CEO Michael Eisner's disapproval, as it was the first time a screenwriter from outside of the story department had been hired to write an animated film. Woolverton worked on her screenplay, and the animation department worked on storyboard reels between 1987 and 1989. But when Walt Disney Studios chairman and head of motion picture and animation production Jeffrey Katzenberg viewed the completed reels, he demanded the film be scrapped and started over again. Because of this, the time allowance for the film's production was demoted to 2 years, instead of the standard 4, worrying animators that they surely wouldn't have enough time to produce a film of the highest quality. Over the next 2 years, Woolverton worked with an entire team of creatives to retool the story. These included producer Don Hahn and directors Gary Trousdale and Kirk Wise, alongside Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, who had been hired to write the film's music and songs, and help steer its story into the territory of the Broadway musical, just as they had with The Little Mermaid a few years earlier and would with Aladdin, which was in production concurrently. Ashman would sadly pass away 6 months before the film's first public screening following a long-term illness. However, he remained incredibly active on the film, writing and tweaking songs until his final days. On September 29, 1991, the movie was screened as a work-in-progress cut at the New York Film Festival. The cut featured only 70% completed animation, with the remaining 30% of the film replaced with storyboards and pencil tests. Despite the roughness of the screener, the film was met with a standing ovation, which lasted 10 minutes. The film opened to overwhelmingly positive reviews that November, with some reviewers comparing the film to some of Walt's earliest achievements. It truly was an animated feature like none other before, a true work of art. The animation is one of the things I admire most about the movie, with Glenn Keane's work on The Beast being my favourite pieces of animation from the Disney Renaissance. To design The Beast, Keane made regular visits to the zoo, studying animals and eventually amalgamating bits and pieces of different creatures to create the one being, Keane's very own Frankenstein's monster. The Beast is one of the most visually inspired and complex characters in all of Disney animation. Additionally, Beauty and the Beast was one of the first Disney animations to use computer animation, following on from The Rescuers Down Under the previous year. Of course, Beauty was not 3D animated, but was created using a system called CAPS, short for Computer Animation Production System, which was developed for Disney by Pixar. CAPS allowed digital inking, painting, compositing, and scanning for the very first time. While the film was produced with a traditional animation design, it also pioneered the use of 3D animation, when it was used to create the ultimate in animation set design and camera movements in the ballroom sequence. One other thing that catches me is just how wonderful the storytelling in this movie is. How emotional and touching it is. Beauty tugs my heartstrings like very few movies have before, let alone animated ones. And even to this day, whenever I revisit it, I cannot help but shed a tear, or 2, or 300. Even though 90% of the characters in this movie are living household items, somehow they feel so real. They are some of the most real characters in any Disney movie ever. Full stop. And again, it all boils down to their emotionality. The love story between Belle and the Beast, even though somewhat unorthodox, is my favourite Disney romance. Who cares if Belle is human and the Beast is, well, a beast? It's the unconditional love that Belle has for the Beast that makes this such a truly special romance. She loves him for what he is on the inside, not what he is on the outside. And after all, isn't that the love we all want? However, when some of my favourite literature consists of The Great Gatsby, Dracula, Frankenstein, and Phantom of the Opera, maybe I just have a soft spot for the underdog vying for that piece of exceptionally abnormal love. And that's why Beauty fits snugly within my top 5. The movie's pure artistry, coupled with its incredibly moving narrative, make for one spectacular movie. It's no wonder that this was the first and only animated film to be nominated for a Best Picture Academy Award, until Up and Toy Story 3 in 2009 and 2010 respectively. With the live-action adaptation having just been released, we can assure that this tale as old as time can live on for many lifetimes more in a different form. However, no matter how successful the new version has been, nothing will detract the pure beauty of the original film. It's one of the greatest films of all time, animated or live action, and remains one of the most beloved 25 years on. Thank you for joining me for this installment of Behind the Classics. If you've enjoyed this mini documentation and would like to join me for future installments, to make sure you keep up to date, please, after the jump, hit subscribe. Thank you once again for watching, and to absolutely everybody out there, I hope you have a magical day.